China's economy is sending out big warning signs, and the whole world should pay attention. Prices in China have been falling for over a year. Wait, prices are dropping, and my purchasing power is growing because I can buy more of these Chinese dumplings I love. Why do you say deflation is bad? Well, it sounds reasonable, but when prices keep dropping, companies make less money, they fire workers and people stop buying even more. Something similar happened to Japan in the 1990s. Its economy slowed down for decades because of deflation, but China's problem could be even worse. Why? Because the Chinese currency, the yuan, is also getting weaker. This makes it harder for Chinese companies to pay back their huge debts. If many companies fail, millions of workers could lose their jobs. And this is not just China's problem. China is the world's factory. When its economy slows, the whole world feels it. Tesla is already selling fewer cars, global energy orders are falling, and cheaper Chinese goods are pushing prices down in other countries too. So, could China's deflation drag the global economy into a crisis? Before we find out, hit a like button, subscribe and share this video so you won't miss our upcoming ones. Cheaper prices may sound like good news, but in China, they're becoming a nightmare.
For more than a year, the country has been stuck in deflation. Prices keep falling instead of rising. The consumer price index is below zero, and factory prices, measured by the producer price index, have been dropping for 29 straight months. This might sound harmless, but it is destroying jobs and cutting wages. Take the gig economy as an example. Delivery drivers in big cities like Shanghai now work an hour longer each day just to earn what they used to. Many people who lost jobs in construction or real estate have joined food delivery and ride-hailing services, making competition fierce and pushing pay even lower. The property market crash has made things worse. Real estate once made up 1/3 of China's economy, but now it's in ruins. Millions of families have seen their savings vanish as home values fall, and construction workers travel thousands of kilometers for short-term jobs.
With less money and no trust in the housing market, people are cutting spending, and that keeps deflation going. So, here is a big question for you. Do you think China can break this deflation spiral? Or is it already too late? Share your personal thoughts in the comments below. The trade fight between the US and China has reached a new level. President Trump has slapped a 145% tariff on Chinese goods, the highest in the century. China hit back with 125% tariffs on American products, but the damage to Chinese economy is already massive.
Exports to the US have plunged, with trade volumes expected to drop to their lowest level since the 2008 financial crisis. For China, this is a big problem because exports make up nearly 1/3 of its economic growth. Goldman Sachs warns that up to 20 million jobs could disappear if export orders keep falling. Factories that used to send goods to the US now have nowhere to sell them, so they are dumping those products on the domestic market at huge discounts. E-commerce giants like JD.com and Meituan are selling US-bound goods with massive price cuts just to clear stock. This is pushing prices even lower inside China, worsening the deflation spiral.
Millions of workers, especially in manufacturing, face layoffs or big pay cuts. And this shock doesn't stop at China's borders. It's already shaking global supply chains. Japan once suffered from deflation that froze its economy for decades, but China's situation could be even worse.
Japan had falling prices, but its currency stayed strong. China is facing something far more dangerous: falling prices and a weakening currency at the same time. Economists call this the 2Ds dilemma: deflation and devaluation. And together, they can crush an economy. Chinese companies are drowning in debt, which has climbed to over 150% of the country's GDP, one of the highest among major economies. Many of these firms owe money in foreign currencies. As the yuan weakens, repaying those debts, especially in dollars, becomes more expensive. At the same time, deflation means companies are earning less, leaving them with shrinking profits and heavier debt burdens. This can trigger a vicious cycle. Companies that can't pay their debts cut jobs or shut down. Laid-off workers spend less, pushing prices even lower, which deepens deflation and hurts more businesses.
This is what happened to Japan in the 1990s, but China's mix of massive debt and a falling currency could make things far worse. Do you think China can break free? Or is it heading for its own lost decades? Tell us in the comments. Your cheaper car might be China's deflation at work. As Chinese factories struggle to sell goods at home, they are sending huge amounts of products abroad at very low prices. Government subsidies in cars, steel and even furniture are helping Chinese companies flood emerging markets with cheap goods.
In Brazil, imports of Chinese cars and consumer goods have pushed prices of durable goods down, slowing inflation even though the local currency is weak. The Bank of Thailand says prices of Chinese vehicles and electronics fell about 10% between 2023 and 2024, pushing Thailand's core inflation close to zero. These cheap exports are creating disinflation worldwide, even as US tariffs make products more expensive in other markets. While consumers enjoy lower prices, local industries are suffering. Some countries, like Brazil, have already started adding tariffs to protect their businesses. South Africa's central bank has warned that China's deflation is making inflation harder to predict, creating risks for financial stability.
Cheap imports may feel good now, but they could crush local producers and slow global growth in the long run. Do you think countries should block these cheap imports to protect its own industries, or enjoy the low prices while they can? Apple, Tesla, and even your retirement funds, China's slowdown spurs no one.
As Chinese consumers cut spending, global companies are feeling the pain. Tesla has already lowered its production forecast because Chinese buyers are purchasing fewer cars. Apple and other tech giants are seeing slower sales as demand for phones, laptops, and electronics weakens. Industrial and energy companies are also struggling because China, the world's largest buyer of raw materials, is cutting back on orders for oil, coal, and metals. The fear doesn't stop with trade. Investors are pulling money out of Chinese stocks and bonds, worried about the growing risk of defaults and falling profits. This panic is shaking global markets, causing bond prices and stock indexes to swing wildly. Many investors are moving their money to safer markets like the US and Japan, which is making borrowing more expensive for emerging countries.
The International Monetary Fund has now cut China's growth forecast to 4%, warning that slower growth in the world's second-largest economy could hurt developing nations the most. Countries that depend on Chinese trade and investment are being told to prepare for tougher financial conditions ahead. Is China doomed to decades of economic stagnation, or can it pull off a miracle? Some experts believe there is still hope, but it won't be easy. Restructuring China's massive debt, especially for heavily indebted companies and local governments, could ease the pressure. Boosting domestic spending is another key step. If Chinese households feel safe enough to spend instead of saving every yuan, it could help break the deflation cycle. Improving trade relations could also make a big difference. Easing tensions with the US and cutting tariffs might revive exports and protect millions of jobs. But Beijing is moving carefully. Even with rising unemployment and slowing growth, Chinese leaders are cautious about big stimulus packages. They fear too much money could create new financial bubbles, especially in the already damaged property market. The big question remains: if China fails to stop deflation, will the world face its own lost decade? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit a like button, subscribe and share this video so you won't miss what's next. Catch you in the next one.